Tony Stewart picks up the lead of the Indianapolis 500. The young man who is doing double duty today, competing here at Indy, and then getting on a helicopter, then a jet, then another helicopter, and competing in the Coca-Cola 600 NASCAR.
I mean, for me, it was two separate events. It was, the NASCAR side's what I did full-time, and the Coke 600's a crown jewel event. But the Indy 500 was still on my bucket list to try to win. So, because I'd done it 3 years before that and wasn't successful in '99 and had that opportunity to go back, I jumped on it because I wanted to win the Indy 500. It wasn't about the 1,100 miles. It was about the Borg Warner Trophy and getting that ring at the Coke 600. So, the mileage part wasn't the big deal. It was the hardest part of it was the mileage, but the lure to do it was literally because you're trying to win the Indy 500, one of the biggest auto races in the world. And then, oh yeah, by the way, I got a full-time job that still have to do the same day, but it starts after.
Tony Stewart!
I remember leading before the rain came. Jill DeFerrin was running second to us, and we had a legitimate shot at that point to win the race. And then the rain came.
Leader, but we are under a red flag. Pretty good shower moving over the speedway. In fact,
we had a cutoff time of, at this point, I have to be leaving the racetrack. And the look on Chip's face when Chip got to me was panic. And we got off in a room. We had enough time during the delay to go off in a room. And I remember Chip getting the door closed, and he's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I'm not leaving this race. I am not leaving here leading the Indy 500. I am not leaving because of a drop dead time. I said, I'll deal with the repercussions when I get there, but this has always been my dream, and I'm leading the race with a quarter of the race to go. I am not leaving.
No, we're not on his window yet. Don't worry about that.
And luckily, the rain stopped. They got it dry. And we actually ended up in good shape on time. I mean, we finished the race. We got in a big hurry to get out of there because we knew we were going to be close on time. But literally, when we landed in Concord, we sat on the plane for 10 minutes in the air conditioning. I knew it wasn't going to be good if I didn't get down there on time. But at the same time, how do you just get up and walk away from your childhood dream because of a time on a watch that is what was designated that you have to leave by? To see the fans' reaction, that brought that energy back up. And I think having the energy at both of those events really, that was huge for me. I mean, that was a big boost and a big push for me. No matter how tired you felt at the end of the 600, which wasn't bad. It didn't seem to be that bad that night versus the first time we did it. But having that energy from the fans was really, really big. Kyle's a guy that deserves to run the Indy 500. He's a unicorn. I mean, you literally just grab him by the back collar of his shirt, you pick him up, you put him in a car, and you tap him on the helmet, and you tell him play nice with the other kids, and you send him off. And that's literally all you have to do for the most part. He's just one of those naturally talented guys that you can put him in anything and he can drive it. So he deserves an opportunity to do what he's going to do this year. He just has a confidence about how he drives. And you'll see it. You'll see it in the 500. He will be aggressive when he needs to be aggressive. I would say his team will absolutely keep him in check when they need to keep him in check. But when it's time to go and it's time for him to be Kyle Larson, you will see him shine through in both races. He is the type of guy, like I say, he's a plug-and-play driver. You literally can plug him in and send him off, and he's going to be fine. I think it's just mentally preparing him for what the day is going to be like is really going to be the challenge, and how early it starts and how late it's going to end. I mean, those variables are the things that are going to be literally the challenges. To him, the easy part's going to be driving the race cars. For him to be in the car is where he's going to be the happiest. It's all the things, the tugging, the pulling, the media attention that he's going to have. Those are the things that are the roadblocks that, as much as it's for a great purpose, those are the things that weigh on you during the day, of not being able to, he's not going to have a moment to himself. That's going to be the hard part, and that's what's going to drag him down. Is he is going to be on from the time he gets out of his motorhome at Indy. He's going to be on the whole day. He's not going to have time to himself. He's not going to have time to catch his breath. Somebody's going to have a microphone in his face. Somebody's going to be around all the time, and that's what's going to be the challenge. It was a lot of work. Luckily, I had a great support system and a lot of great people that did all that work. I didn't have to do it. All I had to do was worry about driving the race cars, making sure I was where I needed to be on time, and had a great support system to make all the logistics happen, to make sure that everything went as smooth as it could be during the day to get us where we needed to be at different points of the day. You know, I think he's better than me in a lot of aspects. He reminds me of AJ Foyt and Mario Andretti a lot. I mean, he just can do it all and makes it look easy, but it's fun to watch. When he drives something, it is fun to watch him drive a race car. It doesn't matter what kind of car it is. It's fun to watch him drive. Kyle's going to race with a bunch of guys that he's never raced with before. Their driving aggression level is higher because they don't run as long a races, and they don't have as many opportunities at a lot of these tracks outside of the 500 to pass. So he's going to race with guys that are going to drive a lot more aggressive at the 500 than what he's used to in long races. And like I said, just learning and understanding the etiquette that they have versus what the NASCAR side has, that's going to be a big deal. I mean, the IndyCar guys do a really good job of using their mirrors and spotting for themselves. NASCAR, we died by our spotters. I mean, and nowadays in NASCAR, the spotters at the super speedways and some of the 1.5 and 2 mile tracks are driving the cars for the drivers. So it wasn't that way in the IndyCar side, but I think the IndyCar side was a little more aggressive style of driving versus the NASCAR side at the time. I mean, you still had long races, you had massive tire fall off, which was awesome, and you had to budget how you drove the car. So I think that's where it wasn't drastically different, but it was different, and you had to be in tune with how those guys expected you to race them, and vice versa. He's going to have every dirt track fan watching the Indy 500. He's going to have every NASCAR fan that's a Kyle Larson fan will absolutely be watching the Indy 500. And people that are casual fans or not Kyle Larson fans at all are going to be watching Kyle Larson at the Indy 500 this year. Everybody's going to be watching.
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.